Hey folks, tonight we're starting an incredible exploration into the life of a woman whose name has resounded across 20 centuries. A woman who mastered 9 languages, authored works on medicine and chemistry, led fleets in combat, and dealt with the mightiest leaders of the ancient era. But here's the detail history often overlooked. Cleopatra wasn't renowned for her looks. She was renowned for her intellect. And tonight, you'll uncover the true tale that films have never captured. The tale of the final pharaoh who nearly altered the course of history. So, before we step into this ancient realm together, I have a quick request. If you like what we uncovered tonight, if this narrative draws you in, could you think about tapping that subscribe button? And if this video astonishes you, shares fresh insights, or simply eases you into rest, a like would be hugely appreciated. I check every comment, so share with me. Where are you tuning in from right now? What's the time there? Are you snug in bed or perhaps unwinding after a tough day? I'm truly interested in hearing about you. Now let's lower the lights, settle in, perhaps switch on a fan or gentle ambient sounds, and allow me to transport you back 21 centuries to a world on the brink of transformation. Imagine this. The year is 69 before Christ. The location is Alexandria, Egypt, perhaps the grandest city in the whole ancient world. And within a palace of marble and gold, amid schemes, disloyalty, and the shadows of a fading lineage, a baby girl draws her first breath. Her name is Cleopatra. Now, I want you to grasp something essential from the outset. When Cleopatra entered the world, Egypt wasn't truly Egyptian anymore. Not in the sense you might imagine. For nearly 300 years since Alexander the Great's death in 323 before Christ, Egypt had been governed by Greeks, particularly by the Ptolemaic dynasty, heirs of Ptolemy I Soter, one of Alexander's closest generals. These weren't Egyptian pharaohs donning the classic crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt. No, these were Macedonian Greeks who ruled over Egypt. They spoke Greek, reasoned in Greek, envisioned in Greek. And here's the truly intriguing aspect. For almost 3 centuries, none of them took the trouble to learn the Egyptian language. Can you picture that? Governing millions and never mastering their tongue. It would be like serving as president of France and refusing to speak French. It was haughty, it was detached, and by Cleopatra's birth, it was also extremely risky. Because while the Ptolemies acted as if Egypt were merely a Greek outpost, the wider world was shifting rapidly. To the north, beyond the Mediterranean Sea, Rome was ascending, and Rome was voracious. Rome was fierce. Rome was methodical. And Rome eyed Egypt like a shark spotting an injured fish. Cleopatra's father was Ptolemy XII, or Auletes, meaning the flute player. Now that might seem endearing, but trust me, it wasn't praise. The Alexandrians nicknamed him that because he came across as feeble, frivolous, more focused on tunes and festivities than on governing. He was the sort of king who hosted lavish feasts while his realm fell apart. The type of leader who required Rome's endorsement to hold power, meaning Egypt was no longer fully sovereign. They were turning into a vassal state, moving to Rome's rhythm. The palace where Cleopatra spent her childhood was a viper's nest. Her father had several wives, several offspring, and each was a possible danger. Her elder sister, Berenice IV, would later attempt to claim the throne. Family meals weren't for closeness, they were for endurance. In Ptolemaic politics, your siblings were frequently your deadliest foes. Assassination within the royal line wasn't shocking, it was almost routine. So here's infant Cleopatra, born into this turmoil. Born into a dynasty that had reigned for centuries but was now drawing its final gasps. Born into a family where trust was unattainable and treachery was certain. Born into a realm where Egypt's autonomy dangled by a slender thread, and that thread was gripped by Rome. But here's what sets Cleopatra apart. Here's what makes her narrative so gripping that we're discussing it 2,000 years on. From early childhood, Cleopatra grasped something her forebears had missed. To govern people, you must speak their language, literally. While her siblings pursued the standard Greek schooling, Homer and Plato and such, Cleopatra was doing something groundbreaking. She was studying Egyptian. She was the first Ptolemaic ruler in 300 years to truly learn the language of those she would lead. Ponder that. 3 centuries of Greek sovereigns, and not one bothered with Egyptian until this young girl decided it was important. But she didn't halt there. Oh no. According to the ancient historian Plutarch, who documented her life a century later but drew from first-hand reports, Cleopatra spoke at least 8 or 9 languages with ease. We're speaking of Greek and Egyptian, naturally, but also Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, the tongues of the Ethiopians, the Syrians, the Medes, the Parthians. Plutarch noted that her speech was like a multi-stringed instrument, shifting seamlessly from one language to another, often without needing interpreters. Do you see how potent that is? Envision bargaining directly with foreign envoys without filters altering your message. Envision addressing your subjects in their native tongue, forging bonds her predecessors never achieved. In the ancient era, this wasn't merely notable, it was transformative, a superpower. And languages were only the start. The palace Cleopatra inhabited was adjacent to the famed library of Alexandria. This wasn't any ordinary library. This was the library, the largest repository of knowledge in the ancient world. Hundreds of thousands of scrolls holding all human understanding of mathematics, astronomy, medicine, philosophy, engineering. If knowledge was your goal, this was the destination. And Cleopatra absorbed it all. Ancient records indicate she delved into mathematics and geometry. She explored astronomy, grasping the paths of stars and planets, vital for navigation and farming. She pursued medicine and chemistry, even performing her own tests. In later years, she authored works on cosmetics and drugs. The renowned Roman doctor Galen, living a century afterward, still cited her contributions and applied her formulas. She mastered military tactics and strategy, not mere concepts, but the hands-on aspects of troop movements, supply chains, siege methods. She examined economics and trade paths. She learned philosophy and rhetoric, the skill of compelling speech. By her teenage years, Cleopatra had an education matching today's top universities. She wasn't merely book-learned, she was tactically astute. Now I know what you're considering, but hold on, I've watched the films, I've heard the tales. Cleopatra was this stunningly attractive temptress who wielded her allure to influence mighty men, right? That's the myth. That's what Shakespeare depicted. That's what Elizabeth Taylor embodied. But here's the reality that history obscured. Cleopatra likely wasn't even that attractive. I know, that's not what you anticipated, but hear what the ancient records actually state. Plutarch, our primary source, wrote that her beauty was not utterly unmatched. That's ancient Greek for she looked decent. Roman coins from her era depict a woman with a notable nose, a firm chin, and sharp eyes, handsome more than lovely. No ancient account from someone who met her called her a breathtaking beauty. So if she wasn't attractive, how did she turn into this mythic temptress? Straightforward Roman propaganda. After her passing, the Romans who overcame her had to justify why two of Rome's strongest men, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, had succumbed to her influence. They couldn't concede that these men were drawn to her smarts, her humor, her tactical acumen. That would make the men appear feeble, like they'd been politically bested. So they invented this legend. She was this exotic, impossibly alluring seductress who employed feminine tricks and sensuality to enchant these innocent Roman leaders. It's simpler to fault a woman's allure than to admit she outsmarted you. But Plutarch, who accessed eyewitness reports, reveals the truth. He wrote that it was the convincing nature of her words and her captivating charm in discussion that enchanted people. In essence, she was charismatic. She was brilliant. She was engaging in conversation. When she entered a space, it wasn't her appearance that drew focus. It was her aura, her assurance, her intellect. This is the Cleopatra history overlooked. The multilingual expert, the tactical mind, the woman who transformed learning into a tool and knowledge into her defense. Because by age 18, she'd require every ounce of that wisdom. Her father would pass, bequeathing her the throne, and nearly at once, those nearest to her, her family, would seek to ruin her. But we're jumping ahead. For now, just keep this in mind. In 69 before Christ, in an Alexandria palace, a girl arrived who would defy all ancient assumptions about authority, women, and empires. She would converse with foreign monarchs in their languages. She would direct armies and navies. She would bargain with Rome as a peer. And for a fleeting, brilliant instant, she would nearly shift the path of Western civilization. Next, we'll uncover what occurred when this gifted young woman took a faltering throne at 18, and how her brother compelled her into the riskiest wager of her life. A wager that would guide her directly to the embrace of Rome's most influential man. But that brother is on the verge of committing Egypt's gravest error. So let's discuss what education truly signified in the ancient world. Because when we claim Cleopatra was brilliant, I want you to comprehend how remarkable that truly was. Consider this briefly. Today, to learn something, you grab your phone, search it, view a video, perhaps even this one. Knowledge is ubiquitous, instant, no cost. But in Cleopatra's era, knowledge was scarce. Knowledge was valuable. Knowledge was authority in the truest sense. The Library of Alexandria, where Cleopatra passed much of her youth, wasn't merely a structure filled with texts. It was the pulsing core of human wisdom. Experts estimate it held between 400,000 and 700,000 scrolls at its height. Every major piece of literature, science, math, medicine, and philosophy from the known world was gathered there. If you sought Aristotle, Euclid, Hippocrates, or Archimedes, this was the sole spot on earth with them all. And Cleopatra had entry to everything. Now, here's where it becomes truly engaging. Most royal youth in the ancient world, even the privileged, got what we'd term a superficial education. You know the type? They learned enough to appear refined, enough to cite Homer at gatherings, enough to avoid shaming the family. It was education as decoration, not as instrument. But Cleopatra's training was distinct. It was precise. It was purposeful. Every topic she tackled served a goal. Let's begin with mathematics and geometry. In the ancient world, math wasn't solely about figures. It was about comprehending reality's basic framework. Egyptians had excelled in math for millennia, using geometry for pyramids and land surveys after Nile floods. But by Cleopatra's time, Greek math had advanced it further. We're discussing Euclid's Elements, the most impactful math text ever, written in Alexandria about 2 centuries prior to her birth. Why did this count for a future queen? Because managing an empire involves logistics, assets, taxes, commerce. You must compute grain production and storage. You must grasp compound interest for debts and payments. You must measure land precisely for taxes. When Cleopatra later led fleets and armies, she had to figure supply routes, estimate rations, understand siege calculations. This wasn't abstract. This was survival. Then there's astronomy. And astronomy then wasn't just gazing at stars. The Nile's yearly flooding, Egypt's literal lifeline, could be foreseen by observing Sirius's heliacal rising. Navigation, especially for trade vessels that enriched Egypt, relied on celestial patterns. The calendar, knowing planting and harvesting times, flood expectations, all needed advanced astronomical insight. The library housed Aristarchus of Samos's work, who proposed, remarkably, that Earth orbits the Sun 1,700 years before Copernicus. It included Eratosthenes' calculations, who measured Earth's circumference with astonishing precision. Cleopatra studied these. She realized the universe was vastly larger and more intricate than most knew, and that viewpoint alters how you perceive power, politics, all of it. But here's where Cleopatra truly shines: medicine and chemistry. We know from various ancient records that Cleopatra didn't just read medical scrolls, she experimented. She had a sort of lab, a space for testing mixtures, blending materials, noting outcomes. She focused on cosmetics, poisons, and remedies. And before you assume, oh, that's typical female pursuits, let me clarify why this was utterly brilliant. Cosmetics, then, weren't about vanity. They were chemistry. Making kohl for eyes involved antimony and galena, lead compounds with antibacterial effects. Perfumes required distillation and extraction. Skin lotions entailed emulsification, blending oils and water with proper agents. This was advanced chemistry. And the poison studies, that wasn't for eliminating guests at meals, though, honestly, in her family, it might have proved handy at times. No, toxicology meant grasping doses, signs, antidotes. It meant knowing what healed and what harmed, and how medicine and poison often differed only by amount. The Roman physician Galen, a century later and one of history's top medical thinkers, specifically referenced Cleopatra's drug formulas in his texts. He noted her special hair restoration remedy for balding men. Imagine that, a queen conducting original medical research. Her work deemed reliable enough for antiquity's premier doctor to cite. Can you envision? You're an ancient Roman scholar crafting your era's definitive medical guide, and you're like, oh, and for baldness, try this from Egypt's queen. That's not a seductress's profile, that's a scientist's. Now, let's address something underappreciated: Cleopatra's grasp of economics and trade. Egypt's wealth didn't stem from gold or silver mines. Egypt thrived on grain. The Nile Valley was the Mediterranean's granary. Roman historians state Egypt yielded enough grain to sustain Rome for 4 months yearly. That's literal. Egypt prevented Rome's starvation. Cleopatra knew this. She knew grain wasn't mere food. It was influence. It was a tool. Control grain and you control Rome's existence. That's why later, allying with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, she held true sway. It wasn't eyelash fluttering. It was controlling Rome's vital resource. She also comprehended global trade systems. Alexandria wasn't just Egypt's capital, it was the Mediterranean's key trade center. Ships came from Greece, Syria, North Africa, Spain, bearing goods, updates, ideas. Alexandria's famous lighthouse, the Pharos, one of the Seven Wonders, wasn't mere stunning design. It was infrastructure enabling round-the-clock port work, meaning more trade, more riches, more authority. Cleopatra spoke her trade partners' languages. She knew their traditions, needs, drives. When envoys from Parthia, Syria, or Arabia arrived, she negotiated directly, no translators distorting words. Do you grasp how uncommon that was? How strong? Let me offer a current analogy. Imagine the US president negotiating with China in fluent Mandarin, Russia in fluent Russian, the Middle East in fluent Arabic, all without interpreters, grasping cultural subtleties. That's Cleopatra's capability. In a world of slow, tough communication where words mattered immensely, this skill was basically a superpower. And then philosophy and rhetoric, the art of persuasive talk. Ancient records consistently portray Cleopatra as an enthralling speaker. Plutarch mentioned her voice's sweetness, but this wasn't innate charm, it was honed ability. In the Greek system, her upbringing's foundation, rhetoric, was a supreme art. It wasn't just eloquent speech, it was grasping human psychology, structuring arguments, appealing to emotion and reason together, tailoring messages to audiences. Ancient great speakers trained under experts for years, learning techniques we'd recognize: repetition, metaphor, deliberate pauses, tone variation. Cleopatra studied top orators. She learned from Demosthenes, Cicero's texts, Greek rhetoric's full tradition. And here's the key. Reading ancient reports of her dealings with Caesar or Antony, note what they say. They don't claim she was so lovely he couldn't think clearly. They say she was persuasive, compelling, fascinating to converse with. She won debates, she swayed opinions. That's not seduction, that's bargaining, that's diplomacy, that's command. But here's the query that should trouble you now. If Cleopatra was so brilliant, educated, accomplished, why did history reduce her to a mere pretty face? Why did the legend focus on beauty and allure rather than intellect and strategy? The answer reveals more about Romans than Cleopatra. When Rome finally subdued Egypt, when Octavian bested Cleopatra and Mark Antony, he faced an issue. Two of Rome's finest men, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, had chosen this foreign queen over Rome. Caesar publicly recognized their son. Antony handed Roman lands to her children. How do you justify that to Romans? How do you validate your win? You can't say, she was smarter than them. That makes your men look inept. You can't say, she was a brilliant tactician who nearly outplayed Rome. That makes Rome seem weak. So you craft a different narrative. You portray her as a seductress. You make her an exotic temptress using feminine tricks and sensuality to bewitch these poor Roman men. In this tale, Caesar and Antony aren't weak or foolish. They're victims of supernatural feminine force. And Octavian isn't just a conqueror. He's a savior protecting Rome from foreign taint. It's propaganda. And it succeeded so well, we're still influenced 2,000 years later. The real Cleopatra, the scholar, scientist, linguist, tactician, got buried under layers of myths about asp-bitten breasts and seductive barge trips. And that's tragic, because the true story is far more compelling. Consider what she achieved with her education. She extended a dying dynasty's life by 20 years against the world's strongest empire. She dealt with Rome as a peer when other Eastern realms were annexed or ruined. She sustained Egypt's prosperity through shortages and conflicts. She earned her people's loyalty in their language. And she did this from age 18 in a world hostile to strong women, in a family ready to kill her, facing an empire eager to devour her kingdom. That's not someone relying on looks and charm. That's someone arming knowledge, grasping that in empire games, information and smarts outweigh beauty. But that brilliant education, all that preparation, those languages and sciences and strategies were about to face the supreme test. Because in 51 before Christ, when Cleopatra was just 18, her father died. And suddenly, this educated young woman found herself co-ruling with a 10-year-old brother who sought her death. What follows shows why Cleopatra needed every bit of that mental strength. Because she's about to endure a betrayal so total, so crushing, that it drives her into exile in the desert, staking all on one desperate, brilliant action that alters her life forever. Imagine turning 18 and inheriting a crumbling empire. Now imagine the advisors meant to aid you actually want you gone. Welcome to Cleopatra's ordeal. The year is 51 before Christ. Ptolemy XII, or Auletes, that flute-playing father we discussed, has just passed. And per his will, the throne goes to his two oldest surviving children, 18-year-old Cleopatra and her 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIII. They're to govern jointly as co-regents, and per Egyptian custom, which is frankly unsettling by today's standards, they're also to wed each other. Now, before you react with disgust, realize that sibling unions in the Ptolemaic line weren't about love or desire. They were about lineage purity and keeping authority within the family. The Ptolemies had practiced this for generations. It was political, not personal. But still, picture being a teen, freshly mourning your father, and told to marry your little brother who still enjoys toys. Not quite a fairy tale, right? But here's the point. Cleopatra likely didn't mind the marriage. What she minded was the authority. And from the start, she made it evident she would be the primary ruler. How do we know? From how she endorsed official papers. In their joint reign's first year, official papyri, ancient government docs, listed Cleopatra's name ahead. Cleopatra and Ptolemy, not Ptolemy and Cleopatra. In a culture where name order signaled precedence, this was a bold statement. She was declaring, "I'm leading here. My brother is secondary." And frankly, it was logical. She was 8 years his senior. She was highly educated. She spoke multiple languages. She grasped economics, diplomacy, military tactics. Meanwhile, Ptolemy XIII was literally a kid. A kid who'd, at best, gotten average schooling and was far from prepared to manage anything beyond a game. But here's where it turns perilous. Because Ptolemy XIII may have been young, but his advisors were not. And these advisors spotted their chance. The three key figures in young Ptolemy's court were Pothinus the eunuch, acting as regent and top minister, Achillas the general commanding Egypt's army, and Theodotus of Chios, Ptolemy's tutor. These men viewed 18-year-old Cleopatra, brilliant, confident, assertive, and saw a threat. Because if Cleopatra led, what did that make them? Subordinates to a woman? Advisors without real sway? So they began murmuring to young Ptolemy, "Your sister believes she's superior. She's sidelining you. She lacks respect. You're the man. You're the pharaoh. She's merely a woman. You know the pattern. Classic exploitation of an insecure child. And it succeeded. By 49 before Christ, scarcely 2 years into their shared rule, the dispute had grown from subtle maneuvers to direct clash. Official records omitted Cleopatra altogether. It was solely Ptolemy XIII. Her name was erased from history. Coins no longer showed her likeness. She was methodically removed from authority. Imagine the feeling. You've trained your life to rule. You speak 9 languages. You've studied math, medicine, tactics. You're more qualified than anyone in the palace. And a 10-year-old boy with manipulative advisors is trying to wipe you out. But Cleopatra didn't yield quietly. She resisted. She asserted her co-ruler rights. She likely tried political maneuvers against Pothinus and his group. But here's the stark truth. They held the army. Achilles led thousands of troops loyal to Ptolemy's court, not Cleopatra. And in ancient politics, ultimately, the side with soldiers prevails. By late 49 before Christ, staying in Alexandria meant death for her. There are hints in ancient records of a possible assassination attempt on her. Whether true or not, she saw the danger. So she did her only option. She fled. Envision this. Egypt's queen escaping her capital at night, likely with a few loyal aides and guards. She headed east to Syria, Roman land then. And consider the journey. She's abandoning all she knows, the palace of her youth, the library her refuge, the city her world center. She's basically a refugee from her kingdom. She's 21 and her world has shattered. Have you ever had life crumble instantly? Felt utter betrayal from those closest? That's Cleopatra's spot. But with stakes beyond personal, a 300-year dynasty's survival and a rich kingdom's independence. But here's what distinguishes Cleopatra. She didn't flee and hide. She fled and schemed. Because in Syria, she did something remarkable. She built an army. Now ponder the logistics. She's a queen without a realm. She likely took some riches, jewelry, gold, portable valuables, but no treasury access, no major powers backing. She's a political refugee. So how do you assemble an army? Mercenaries, soldiers fighting for pay. The Eastern Mediterranean in the 1st century before Christ teemed with them. Ex-Roman legionaries done with service, Greek fighters seeking work, Syrian warriors, Bedouin riders. With gold, you found fighters. Cleopatra used all resources. She likely invoked favors from Egyptian traders linked to Syria. She probably got aid from local leaders, hoping she'd recall their support if restored. Perhaps they disliked Ptolemy and his advisors. In ancient politics, my enemy's enemy quickly becomes my ally. Ancient records indicate she gathered several thousand men. Not massive by ancient measures, but enough for credibility. Then, in summer 48 before Christ, she marched back to Egypt. She avoided direct Alexandria assault. That would be fatal. The city was fortified. Ptolemy's forces outnumbered hers. Instead, she stationed at Pelusium on Egypt's eastern border, a tactical spot controlling a main entry route, also near her brother's army. So we reach that ancient standoff I mentioned. 2 armies eyeing each other across the sands, neither advancing. Both knew full civil war would devastate. Egypt's riches came from farming, trade, stability. War would wreck the economy, kill thousands, likely gift Egypt to Rome. But neither could yield without losing face and power. Cleopatra couldn't return to Alexandria as less than co-ruler. Ptolemy and advisors couldn't allow her without yielding control. They were stalled. Now, I must pause on civil wars because Egypt's wasn't unique. History's most savage conflicts are always internal, within families, nations, among those meant to unite. The American Civil War killed more Americans than foreign wars. Russia's post-revolution civil war was brutally bloody. England's Wars of the Roses, cousins battling for the crown, lasted decades. Syria's recent civil war is a 21st-century humanitarian disaster. Civil wars worsen because they shred social bonds, pit neighbor against neighbor, destroy trust. The Ptolemaic dynasty practically pioneered bloody family civil wars. Over prior centuries, Ptolemaic siblings killed siblings, children murdered parents, parents children, all for the throne. Palace floors were nearly blood-stained. This wasn't novel, it was custom. But Cleopatra's plight is especially moving because she likely didn't want brotherly conflict. Ancient records suggest negotiation attempts for peace. She'd probably accept true power sharing. But Pothinus and Achilles wanted no sharing. They sought total control with young Ptolemy as puppet. So there they stood in summer 48 before Christ. Two armies in the desert, a kingdom frozen by war, no resolution visible. But then something unforeseen occurred. Something changing all. A Roman general named Gnaeus Pompeius Magnus, history's Pompey the Great, appeared at Egypt's threshold, fleeing for life. And pursuing him across the Mediterranean was another Roman general, Julius Caesar. Suddenly, Egypt's civil war was set to collide with Rome's. The stakes grew infinitely more complex, hazardous, unpredictable. Because in ancient politics, when superpowers clash on your soil, you choose sides or get crushed. Cleopatra was about to take her life's biggest risk, and that risk demanded not just smarts, not just tactics, but sheer brilliance. Because she's about to enter a chamber with the world's most powerful man, and she'll have one shot to persuade him aiding her serves his interests. One shot to rescue her throne, kingdom, life. And her method, well, it becomes history's most famed entrance, but not for the reasons assumed. Sometimes history's pivotal moments stem from a snap choice by someone clueless about their actions. That's precisely what transpired when Pompey the Great reached Egypt in September 48 before Christ. Let me set the stage because this is where all goes spectacularly awry. Pompey the Great was among Rome's top generals. He'd seized vast lands, vanquished pirates, quelled uprisings. He'd formed the first triumvirate with Julius Caesar and Marcus Licinius Crassus, essentially Rome's three mightiest. But Crassus perished in a disastrous Parthian campaign. Suddenly, just Pompey and Caesar, and shared power never lasts. Someone craves it all. By 49 before Christ, Rome plunged into civil war. Caesar crossed the Rubicon with legions, that iconic "the die is cast." Roman fought Roman. Caesar's side versus Pompey's, the Mediterranean their arena, and Pompey was losing badly. Caesar was superior, decisive, adaptable, with devoted troops. After defeats peaking at Pharsalis's catastrophe in Greece, Pompey did what desperate men do. He fled to Egypt. Why Egypt? Pompey had ties. Years prior, he'd aided Ptolemy XII, Cleopatra, and Ptolemy XIII's father regain his throne after overthrow. He'd patronized Egypt's crown. So Pompey thought, I helped them once, they'll help me now. He arrived with wife Cornelia, few supporters, little else. He messaged ahead for asylum. And this is where young Ptolemy XIII's advisors, Pothinus, Achillas, Theodotus had to decide. Welcome Pompey, a Roman powerhouse. Reject him. What? They convened. Per historians Plutarch and Appian, who chronicled this, here's the gist. Theodotus argued, Caesar will arrive soon, chasing Pompey. If we shelter Pompey, Caesar angers. If we refuse and Pompey escapes elsewhere, Pompey angers. So we must please Caesar and ensure Pompey poses no threat. His solution? Kill Pompey. His words, per sources, a dead man cannot bite. Now stop. Consider this. Advisors controlling a 10-year-old pharaoh are deciding history's course. They're engaging Roman power politics, about to make Egypt's worst choice. So here's what ensued. On September 28, 48 before Christ, Pompey's ship neared Pelusium harbor. A small Egyptian vessel met him. Aboard were Achillas and Roman officer Lucius Septimius, once Pompey's subordinate, now Egyptian employed. They told Pompey, "Water's too shallow for your ship. Join us in our smaller boat. We'll guide you to the pharaoh." Pompey's wife pleaded against it. She sensed trouble. But Pompey, preserving dignity, kissed her farewell and boarded. As they approached shore, Pompey read a Greek speech prepared for the young pharaoh. He never completed it. As the boat hit land, Septimius rose behind Pompey and stabbed his back. Then Achillas and another joined. They slew Pompey the Great in a rowboat, his wife watching, screaming from the ship. Then, grotesquely, they severed Pompey's head. They planned to gift it to Caesar, like, "Hey, we eliminated your foe. Aren't we useful?" Imagine the political blunder? These advisors thought themselves clever, picking winners. They unknowingly sealed Egypt's fate. Because 3 days later, Julius Caesar reached Alexandria. He brought a small force, perhaps 3,000 or 4,000 soldiers, his main army still in Greece or dispersed. He pursued Pompey to end the civil war. When Pothinus's group presented Pompey's head, likely proud, Caesar didn't thank them. Sources say he averted in revulsion. Some claim he wept. Whether true or Roman propaganda on Caesar's generosity, we know Caesar grasped what Ptolemy's advisors missed. Killing a Roman consul, even defeated, was barbaric, horrifying Rome. These Egyptian advisors proved treacherous, unreliable, hazardous. But Caesar was trapped in Alexandria. He needed funds. Civil wars cost dearly. Troops required pay. Egypt owed Rome huge debts. Plus, weather worsened. Autumn Mediterranean was risky for sailing. And atop that, Cleopatra and Ptolemy's civil war raged. The mess was total. So Caesar did Roman style. He seized control. He occupied the royal palace in Alexandria. He announced as Rome's consul he'd arbitrate the Cleopatra-Ptolemy dispute and decide Egypt's ruler. Essentially, I'm in charge, sort later. From Cleopatra's view, and recall, she's camped outside with mercenaries, this is best or worst news. A Roman general deciding Egypt's rule arrived, but she's barred from the city. Ptolemy's forces hold Alexandria. Ptolemy's men access Caesar. If Pothinus and Achillas reach Caesar first, sway him against her, she's done. She must reach Caesar, make her case. But how? Cities sealed. Ptolemy's guards at every gate. Marching with army starts battle. Caesar sides with city controllers, Ptolemy. She needs into Alexandria, palace, Caesar's presence, alone, secretly, undetected. And here's that famed story, the one you've heard, Hollywood's favorite. Cleopatra rolled in a carpet, delivered to Caesar, except, importantly, likely not a carpet. Let me clarify. Truth is more intriguing than myth. Our chief source, Plutarch, a century later, says Cleopatra boarded a small boat at dusk with one companion, Sicilian Apollodorus. They sailed from camp to Alexandria harbor past Ptolemy's guards, a mere fishing boat, unremarkable. On land, Cleopatra needed undetected palace entry, so Apollodorus wrapped her in what Plutarch calls a bedroll sack. Other sources say large leather or linen bag for goods. The carpet tale from later embellished versions, but whether bedroll, sack, carpet, image same. Apollodorus tied it, carried on back through palace gates, claiming delivery or laundry, mundane. Guards passed him. He took the bundle to Caesar's quarters, unrolled at his feet. Out emerged Egypt's queen. Every film, book, retelling stresses theatrical drama. Yes, dramatic, bold. But here's the overlook. This wasn't entrance-making. It was tactics. Consider Cleopatra's angle. She's 21, outmaneuvering advisors with army, brother technically pharaoh, now Roman general deciding fate. One edge, surprise. Formal audience request? Ptolemy's men block or sabotage. Front gate arrival? Turned away or arrested. Bypass channels, reach Caesar direct before interference. So she does the unexpected, infiltrates like spy, becomes cargo, lands at Caesar's feet with fait accompli. He can't dismiss now. She's there. Before Ptolemy's advisors know she's in city, she's presenting to the key figure. That's not seduction. That's special ops. Sneaking past lines to hit objective. Military tactics in diplomacy. And crucially, she had to present her case. Dramatic entry gets you in, doesn't win debate. Here's the forget. Julius Caesar was 52. He'd seen all. Conquered Gaul, invaded Britain, survived assassinations, betrayed and betrayed Rome's top men. Brilliant, cynical, seasoned, hard to sway. Did he value beauty? Sure, human, but affairs with countless women, including rivals' wives. Attraction wouldn't risk position or army. So what did Cleopatra offer? Her pitch? First, legitimacy. Caesar could back Cleopatra or Ptolemy, but Ptolemy's advisors murdered Pompey, proving treacherous. Cleopatra offered fresh start, smart, educated, respecting Roman power. No foolish acts like killing consuls. Second, stability. Egypt chaotic. War ruining economy. Grain Rome needed disrupted. Caesar required functioning, peaceful Egypt for debts and supplies. Cleopatra argued, install me. I'll provide stability. I'm capable. My brother a child puppeted by killers. Safer bet? Third, funds. Caesar deep in war debt. Egypt rich. Cleopatra could loan, supply, ships if backed. But what sealed it? Intellectual, strategic connection. Plutarch stresses this. Not beauty, conversation. Caesar, a history's great mind, wrote studied military commentaries. Brilliant tactician, cunning politician. In Cleopatra, he found an equal. Someone grasping power, multiple languages, discussing philosophy, tactics, economics. They weren't just attracted, though likely. They saw each other as peers, same game level. Rare, magnetic. Caesar decided swiftly, summoned both to him. Power move, forcing pharaoh like supplicant. When Ptolemy arrived, saw Cleopatra there, already with Caesar, presenting, the boy tantrumed, ripped royal diadem, threw to ground, stormed out, yelling betrayal, which he had. But tantrums don't win wars, and this was war. Make no mistake, Pothinus and Achilles wouldn't accept Caesar's ruling against them. They'd killed one Roman general, not afraid of another. Days later, Achilles mobilized Egypt's army, 20,000 soldiers, besieged Palace District. Caesar and Cleopatra trapped with 3,000 to 4,000 Romans. City erupted in street fights. Buildings burned. People fled. Fighting lasted weeks. This era called Alexandrian War, brutal. Once, Caesar swam for life from burning ship, holding documents above water amid arrows. Battles damaged great library parts. Some say first major fire, though debated. But Caesar was Julius Caesar. Even outnumbered, surrounded, he fought well. Reinforcements from Rome, allies. Finally, January 47 before Christ, Caesar's forces clashed Ptolemy's at Nile battle. Caesar crushed them. Achilles already assassinated in court plots. Pothinus executed by Caesar. Ptolemy XIII, manipulated 10-year-old, fled battlefield. Sources say drowned in Nile, boat capsized, or golden armor weighed. Boy pharaoh dead. Cleopatra's last rival gone. Cleopatra, now Egypt's sole ruler. Technically married another brother, younger, Ptolemy XIV, about 12, tradition requiring male co-regent. But all knew Cleopatra held power, true pharaoh, legitimate. And Caesar stayed months more. Some say leisurely Nile cruise with Cleopatra, possibly romantic exaggeration. Certain, by June 47 before Christ, Cleopatra pregnant. Bore son named Ptolemy XV Caesar, but called Caesarion, Little Caesar. Message clear. Child Caesar's son, heir. Or, Cleopatra claimed. Caesar never denied. Significant. Could reject, call illegitimate, distance. Didn't. Let belief queen bore his son. What says? Not casual affair. Political alliance sealed dynastically, marriage in name but. Cleopatra achieved extraordinary. From exiled queen desert camped to Egypt's sole ruler backed by Rome's top man. Outwitted brothers' advisors, survived siege, won civil war, secured throne. Through intellect, tactics, one boldly famed entrance still discussed 2,000 years. But that entrance just start. Now Caesar and Cleopatra about to scandalize Rome, threaten republic, trigger events leading both destructions. They're about to publicize alliance in unforgivable way. And that choice echoes Cleopatra's remaining life. There's something captivating about how one birth can reshape global politics. And on June 23, 47 before Christ in Alexandria, a boy born did just that. His mother named him Ptolemy XV Caesar, but history recalls him as Caesarion, Little Caesar. You might think, another royal child. So, leaders have kids often, right? But this wasn't ordinary. This was potential heir to two empires. Son of Egypt's queen, allegedly Rome's mightiest man's son. This boy symbolized something terrifying Rome, East-West merger. Dynasty spanning Nile to Tiber. That's why this baby became dangerously alive before walking. Let me explain the reality. Because Caesarion's birth wasn't family matter. It was power politics on incomprehensible scale. First, Cleopatra's intent. Not just lover's baby. Naming Caesarion, literally Little Caesar, announced, "This Julius Caesar's son." Roman Egyptian blood, could inherit both realms. Was Caesar father? Never certain. No ancient paternity tests. But key, Caesar never denied. Huge. Caesar wed to Roman Calpurnia. Power, motive to reject, call illegitimate, detach. Instead, opposite. Publicly acknowledged Caesarian. Let name Caesar. Even placed golden Cleopatra statue in Venus temple, his family's goddess. Not hiding embarrassing affair, making statement. But why? Caesar's common problem, no legitimate heir. 54 when Caesarion born. Married thrice. First wife bore daughter Julia, died childbirth. Later marriages childless. Roman law, no heir, wealth titles to nearest male kin. Great-nephew Gaius Octavius, sickly teen, known as Octavian, future Augustus. But Octavian young, unproven, unimpressive then. Caesar likely thought, this inherit my legacy? Meanwhile, Cleopatra, brilliant, capable, offers son, potential heir, dynasty builder. Issue: Roman law, Caesarian illegitimate. Caesar wed Calpurnia, bigamy forbidden. Recognize as heir? Couldn't without altering core laws, causing crisis. But Caesar considered. Evidence: planned legislation allowing extra wives in provinces. Imagine Roman reaction? Romans prided moral edge over decadent East. Dictator marrying foreign queen, legitimizing children? Seen as becoming king, Oriental despot, forsaking Roman values. While maneuvering, what Cleopatra did in Egypt? Not just new mother, transformed into more than queen. Goddess. Ancient Egyptians linked pharaohs to divinity. Pharaoh living Horus, dead Osiris. Wife/mother with Isis, key goddess. Isis ideal mother, perfect queen, resurrecting Osiris, protecting Horus. Prior Ptolemaic queens claimed Isis link, Job part, but Cleopatra elevated, called New Isis. Appeared ceremonies as Isis. Commissioned temples showing her as Isis nursing Horus, but baby resembled Caesarion. Message to Egyptians: I am goddess incarnate, my son God incarnate, we divine. Not religious show, brilliant politics. As Isis told subjects, not another Greek overlord. Understand Egyptian faith, embody ideals, rightful queen by divine right. Meanwhile, half Roman Caesarion could unite Egypt-Rome under dynasty. Audacious, revolutionary. If Caesar lived longer, might succeed. But Caesar invited Cleopatra to Rome. 46 before Christ, Caesar returned to Italy celebrating wins. Soon after, Cleopatra arrived with Caesarion, younger brother-husband Ptolemy XIV, huge entourage. Imagine spectacle. Egypt's queen in Rome with hundreds, servants, guards, scholars, aides. Resided Caesar's villa across Tiber, technically outside city, but near enough statement. Caesar visited regularly, openly, essentially second household with Egyptian consort while Roman wife waited home. How received? As expected. Roman society scandalized. Not a fair, powerful Romans had those often. Unusual? Openness, brazenness, treating foreign queen near equal, near second wife, acknowledging son while legal wife childless. Sources say Romans gossiped harshly about Cleopatra, called immoral, ambitious, corrupting Caesar with Eastern luxury. Senate no official action. Couldn't, she visiting head of state. but social pressure intense. Caesar's foes used relationship as ammo. Whispered he sought kingship, move capital Alexandria, betray Roman values. And some might true. Caesar showed growing autocracy, named Dictator Perpetuo for life, wore purple robes, laurel crowned constantly, sat golden chair in Senate, acted less consul, more monarch. Egyptian consort with son potentially inheriting Egypt Rome looked dynasty building, looked monarchy establishing. For traditional Romans, overthrowing last king nearly 500 years prior, priding republic, terrifying. Rome's point? No absolute power. 2 consuls, term limits, checks. Caesar dismantling. And Cleopatra, in minds, aiding. But here's interesting. Was Cleopatra content in Rome? Her view, one world's most powerful, educated, sophisticated. Ruled Earth's wealthiest kingdom. Absolute Egypt authority. Now in Rome, villa across river, socially shunned by elite, reliant on Caesar's favor, watching legal wife at functions while kept distant. Sources don't detail Cleopatra's feelings, but imagine humiliating. Queen, divine in culture, treated as mistress, separate, whispered about, viewed down by self-superior culture. Even strategic, must sting. But Cleopatra endured, stayed nearly 2 years, and did something brilliant, turned villa intellectual hub, brought Alexandria scholars, held philosophical talks, created mini Alexandrian court in Rome. Key Romans seeking culture visited for discourse. Made herself valuable not just consort but learning patron. Also reportedly aided Caesar's calendar reform. Are 12 months, varying 30 to 31 days? From Julius Caesar. Sources suggest Egyptian astronomers, likely Cleopatra brought, advised. Julian calendar, base for Gregorian, has Egyptian math principles. Cleopatra's influence in time measurement today. But while navigating Roman society, securing position, back Egypt, interesting. Ptolemy XIV, brother-husband co-regent, died suddenly. Sources vague how. Some historians suspect poisoning. Motive? Cleopatra. With Ptolemy XIV gone, makes Caesarion co-regent. 3-year-old Caesar's son ruling beside mother. Symbolism perfect. Dynasty secured. Murder? Unknown. But Ptolemaic politics, suspicious deaths of inconvenient kin, standard. Cleopatra learned from family examples, so by early 44 before Christ, Cleopatra in Rome with son, now King Ptolemy XV Caesar co-ruling Egypt. Caesar at power peak, civil war over, Pompey dead, enemies defeated. Planning massive Parthian campaign, remaining superpower. Talk, dangerous, that Caesar might declare eastern provinces king, officially marry Cleopatra, make Caesarion heir. If happened, if Caesar lived 10 to 20 years, history different. Rome-Egypt merged empire, Alexandria rivaling Rome capital, Latin-Greek official, Empire, Britain, India, Caesarion ruling known world. But Caesar lacked 10 to 20 years, weeks. March 15, 44 before Christ, Ides of March, Julius Caesar entered Senate for routine session. Senators led by Brutus, Cassius surrounded. Daggers under togas, stabbed 23 times on floor. Caesar defended initially, but seeing Brutus, treated like son, allegedly pulled toga overhead, stopped. Died at Pompey statue feet, irony noted. When news hit Cleopatra's villa across Tiber, she knew danger. Caesar dead, protector, legitimizer, acknowledger gone. Assassinated by senators seeing tyrant. Same senators knew Cleopatra, Caesarion, saw child as heir threat to republic. Now Caesar gone, what stopped them targeting foreign mistress, son? Sources say Cleopatra fled Rome immediately. Gathered Caesarion, attendants, quick packs, boarded ship to Egypt fast. Story, crossing Tiber to ships, Romans jeered, threw things, blamed corrupting Caesar. True or propaganda? Unknown. But left swiftly, never returned. Dream over. Partnership reshaping world cut by 23 stabs in Senate. Caesar dead. Caesarion never legitimate heir. Rome-Egypt no merge. Days earlier future evaporated in blood. But Cleopatra not finished. Far. Back Egypt, work, stabilize kingdom, protect son, secure future. And post-Caesar chaos, Rome tearing in civil war, new figures emerge. One becomes Cleopatra's top ally, passionate lover, man whose fixation destroys both. Marcus Antonius. You know Mark Antony, about to enter Cleopatra's life, making Caesar relations seem rehearsal. When a dependent on dies suddenly, world doesn't pause grieving. Keeps moving. You move or crush. Cleopatra learned harshly sailing Egypt spring 44 before Christ, carrying 3-year-old son, ashes of political dreams. Caesar gone. Restorer of throne, acknowledger of son, protector lost. Now survive infinitely dangerous world. Let me depict Egypt on return. Not pretty. While Cleopatra Rome played political chess, kingdom suffered. Nile floods, Egypt's lifeblood, failing. Good floods, Nile rose predictably, depositing rich silt for wheat, barley feeding millions. Failed floods, famine. And floods failed. From around 43 before Christ onward, Egypt faced agricultural crises. Surviving papyri show soaring grain prices. Some mention riots. Others families enslaving selves to survive. Not minor, humanitarian disaster. Cleopatra returned starving country. Worse than ruling starving? Ruling starving while Mediterranean tears in Roman civil war. Because Caesar assassination brought no peace, chaos. Assassins, Brutus, Cassius, thought heroes killing tyrant. Instead, Romans outraged. Mark Antony, Caesar's deputy, gave stirring funeral speech turning opinion against assassins. Then Caesars will read, left money every Roman. Suddenly, assassins villains murdering benefactor. Fled city. Meanwhile, sickly teen Octavian, adopted heir, arrived Rome demanding inheritance. 18, most thought pushable. Very wrong. But later. For Cleopatra, key, Rome exploding another massive civil war. Caesar supporters versus assassins. Cleopatra had to side. Actually, no choice. Assassins killed protector. Supported Caesar faction. By 43 before Christ, 3 led Caesarian side. Mark Antony, seasoned general politician. Octavian, teen heir with Caesar name. Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, elder statesman with legion loyalty. Formed second triumvirate. Divided Roman world. Antony east, Octavian west. Lepidus Africa. Cleopatra sent support. Ships, supplies, money. Couldn't risk assassins winning. If Brutus, Cassius power, recall Caesar ally. Might install cooperative ruler. Backed triumvirate, even draining treasury amid starving people. Worked. October 42 before Christ. Philippi battle Greece. Triumvirate crushed Brutus Cassius armies. Both suicides post-defeat. Caesar avenged. Triumvirate unchallenged. But for Cleopatra, victory complicated. Antony, now Eastern controller, questioned. Why not more Egypt support? Why some Egyptian ships aided enemy? Reports, possibly false, exaggerated. Some Egyptian vessels supplied Brutus Cassius. True? Maybe rogue captains. Political sabotage. Or Antony seeking excuse summon Egypt queen, assert authority. Whatever, 41 before Christ, Antony messaged. Cleopatra come Tarsus, southern Turkey today, answer loyalty questions. Now understand summons. Antony treating subordinate, client queen explaining to Roman superior. For Cleopatra, seeing self-divine ancient kingdom ruler, negotiated Caesar near equal, insulting. Also dangerous. Refuse? Antony might regime change. Come unimpress? Same. Needed entrance, shifting power dynamic. Arrive not supplicant, queen. Not accounting, granting audience. Needed theater. Spectacle. Blow Antony's mind before question. Late summer 41 before Christ. Cleopatra's fleet horizon approaching Tarsus. Leading, unforgettable ship. Sources detail. Fantasy-like. Purple sails, royalty color, costly from crushed snails. Silver-plated oars move to flutes, harps. Deck gold, fine fabrics. Incense perfumed air, smelled ashore. Reclining under golden canopy, Cleopatra as Aphrodite, Greek love goddess. Roman Venus. Attendants as nymphs, cupids. Set up like goddess sailing painting. Ship docked, Mark Antony waited marketplace, raised platform, ready official receive Egypt queen, showing control. Except, word spread Cleopatra ship arrived, Tarsus population rushed harbor see spectacle, marketplace emptied. Antony sat alone, looking foolish. Power move. Cleopatra stole audience, literally. Flipped script. Invited Antony dine her ship instead receiving her. Summoned subordinate, now hosting guest. Like carpet to Caesar, focus theatrical. Yes, spectacular. But really psychological warfare. Calculated power, legitimacy statement, who needed whom more. As Aphrodite/Venus, multiple claims. First, divine, positioned as new Isis Egypt, now added Greek-Roman goddess. Second, Venus Julian family patron, Caesar's. As Venus, reminded Caesar partner, son Caesar's, link Antony unmatched. Third, clever, Roman myth, Venus mother Aeneas, Rome founder. Caesar family claimed Venus descent. As Venus, symbolically Rome's divine mother, claiming Roman myth spot. Audacious for foreign queen supposedly answering loyalty, right? And Antony, different from Julius Caesar. Caesar cold, calculating, disciplined. Antony warm, impulsive, emotional. Caesar planned 20 ahead, Antony moment lived. Caesar strategist charismatic, Antony charismatic strategic. Antony 42 meeting Cleopatra. Caesar's loyal lieutenant, trusted. Brave battle, inspiring soldiers. Generous, extravagant, lavish parties, heavy drinker, passionate affairs. Caesar austere image, Antony one of guys, soldiers general sharing hardships, victories. but Antony deeply insecure. Career Caesar's shadow, loyal deputy, never top. Now triumvirate, shared with teen upstart Octavian, Caesar named no experience. Antony skilled, brave, popular, but not Caesar. Knew, everyone knew. So Cleopatra sailing goddess ship as divine, Caesar's equal partner, born son, representing wealth, power, Eastern mystery. Antony fascinated, perhaps intimidated, not conquered queen, forced nature. Sources say Antony immediately captivated, not physical beauty. Ancient writers say beauty good, not extraordinary. Captivated, total. Intelligence, wit, confidence, language command, cultural depth, theatrical flair. Plutarch says made every moment fun. Adapted conversation to Antony's mood. Philosophical? Provided. Jokes? Matched. Military? Understood better than generals. Unlike Caesar, aloof even lovers, Antony fell hard. Romantic. Passionate. Days after Tarsus, forgot summons reason. Loyalty questions unasked. Accountability skipped. Instead, agreed return Alexandria winter. And winter 4140 before Christ legendary. Formed Society of Inimitable Livers. Club for pleasure, excess, fullest life. Banquet costs fortunes. Practical jokes. Hunted, feasted, drank, explored Alexandria. Sources describe Antony common clothes, night streets with Cleopatra, pranking citizens. Almost college-like. Powerful rulers like spring break teens. But while partying, serious politics. Antony needed Egypt wealth for planned Parthian campaign, Rome's eastern foe. Cleopatra needed Antony's military, political backing. Relationship transactional romantic. Needed each. Unlike Caesar, Cleopatra seemed genuinely like, perhaps love Antony. Sources portray warmer, more equal than Caesar. Caesar controlled, self-contained, never truly let in. Antony, heart sleeve. Vulnerable Caesar never. Cleopatra, lifetime calculated relations, might found refreshing. By Antony left Alexandria 40 before Christ. Duty Rome political. Cleopatra pregnant twins. Alexander Helios. Cleopatra Selene. Named Sun Moon, Antony's kids, unmet 3 years. Awkward, Antony married, not anyone, Octavia, Octavian's sister. Marriage sealed Antony-Octavian alliance. Back Rome 40, home Octavia like nothing. No Cleopatra mention, no twin acknowledgement. 3 years, Antony perfect Roman husband while Cleopatra raised Egypt. Hurt, angry, betrayed? Sources silent, but her view? Bore twins, man returning other wife, acting non-existent. Rough, whether political or affection start. But Cleopatra patient, new Roman politics. New Octavia marriage political, not romantic. New Antony eventually need Egypt, her, ready. Because Rome brewing shattered triumvirate, plunge Mediterranean final catastrophic civil war. Antony-Octavian power balance cracking. When broke, Antony choose Rome or Egypt. Duty or desire, calculated power or passionate glory. Choice impossible, terrible, determined not just fate, Cleopatra's, Egypt's. Ancient world's greatest love story about become greatest tragedy. 3 years long wait someone possibly never returning. But that's what Cleopatra did 40 to 37 before Christ. While Antony Rome husband Octavia, Cleopatra Egypt raising twins alone, running kingdom, wondering man promising all ever return. And unanswerable question, Cleopatra truly love Mark Antony? Or entire relation calculated politics like Caesar? Because we know Cleopatra master political chess, knew use relations tools. But with Antony, sources seem different. Historians describe warmth, playfulness, emotional bond absent Caesar. With Caesar, always performing, queen, strategic. With Antony, seems relaxed, more self, whatever meant. But backtrack 3 years Antony away, matters understanding next. Antony tightrope, duty Rome, Octavia marriage, Octavian alliance one side, desire Cleopatra, Egypt wealth need, self-vision new Alexander conquering East other. Tightrope shakier daily. Problem Octavian, underestimated 18-year-old. Political genius, cold, calculating, ruthless, propaganda brilliant. Antony better general, popular, Octavian better power game, manipulated Senate, controlled narrative. Slowly positioned defender traditional Roman values against Eastern decadence, foreign influence. Prime Eastern decadence example. Own sister's husband Mark Antony dallying Egyptian queen. By 37 before Christ, Antony couldn't delay. Needed launch grand Parthian campaign, achievement eluding Julius Caesar. Conquering Parthia prove Antony Caesar's true heir, military match. But needed money, supplies, ships. Needed Egypt. Needed Cleopatra. So 37 before Christ, Antony left Octavia, Italy, headed east. Summoned Cleopatra, Antioch, Syria. Reunion changed all. First, officially acknowledged twins, Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene, now 3. Accepted as children. Significant. Caesar acknowledged Caesarion eventually, time. Antony immediate fatherhood embrace. Shows difference men relations her. But Antony more shocking. Gave Cleopatra land, not any, vast swaths once Ptolemaic, lost centuries. Cyprus, Lebanon parts, Syria portions, Turkey southern coast. Wealthy, strategic, Antony handed over. Think romantic, lover gifts? Actually, smart realpolitik both. Cleopatra needed rebuild Egypt power, wealth. Ptolemaic height massive. Her time, basically Egypt. Restoring meant prestige, routes, revenue. Antony needed her control, stable Eastern Mediterranean for Parthian campaign. Couldn't have regions chaos, rebellion while fighting Mesopotamia. Gave trusted, capable governor, Cleopatra. Practical, strategic. Also made Cleopatra very happy. And Antony moved her life full-time. Set second capital Alexandria, east with Cleopatra. Octavia Rome still wife technically, but all knew Antony's heart. Soon another child, Ptolemy Philadelphus, born 36 before Christ. 3 kids now, blended, Caesarion, twins, new baby. Cleopatra building dynasty, not originally imagined Caesar. But address elephant, Antony's disastrous 36 before Christ Parthian campaign. Shows Antony best worst, Cleopatra advisor limits. Parthia Rome's eastern rival, like Soviet to Cold War America. Superpower Rome couldn't defeat. Parthians humiliated Rome multiple, famously destroying Marcus Licinius Crassus' army 53 before Christ, killing Crassus. Julius Caesar planned Parthian when assassinated. Antony saw conquering as chance equal surpass Caesar militarily. Assembled massive army. Sources: around 60,000 Roman legionaries plus allies auxiliaries, maybe 100,000 total. Cleopatra provided supplies, money, ships. Campaign prove Antony greatness. Catastrophe. Antony nearly every general mistake. Poor force division. Underestimated Parthian cavalry. Lured deep enemy territory, supply lines thin. Parthians classic. Fast cavalry archers ride, shoot, retreat before Roman infantry engage. Harassed constantly, picking stragglers, burning supplies, every mile nightmare. Sources: Antony lost Third Army. 20 to 30,000 dead, mostly disease, exposure, raids. Humiliating. Opposite Caesar's brilliant campaigns. When Antony limped, Syria remnants accomplished nothing but proving not Caesar. Here's interesting Cleopatra. Advised campaign. Supported, funded, believed. Failed. Bad advisor? Or Antony mediocre executor? Probably both. Cleopatra, brilliant diplomacy, administration, politics. Never field-commanded army. New theory books, no practical. Antony, personal courage, soldier popularity, impulsive, sometimes poor logistics, planning. Caesar, military genius, 10 ahead. Antony, brave fighter, sometimes 1 ahead. Together formidable, but not Caesar. Yet remarkable, post-failure, Cleopatra stuck Antony. Could cut losses, send disgraced Rome, seek new Roman patron. Didn't. Welcomed Alexandria, helped rebuild forces, gave emotional, financial support retry. Why? Love? Invested too much, quit? No better options, Octavian no ally? Probably all. Sources: period, Antony heavy drinking, depression, wallowing failure. Cleopatra pulled out. Organized celebrations, banquets, reminded victories, planned campaigns. Therapist, advisor, partner. Emotional labor level, not for mere alliance. Suggests real affection, care. Or Cleopatra manipulation master. Understood broken men easier control than confident. Saw vulnerability opportunity bind closer. Never know motives, but see results. Antony increasingly dependent Cleopatra. Isolated Rome, identified Egypt over Republic. Contrast Caesar relation. Caesar never emotionally needed Cleopatra. Valued intelligence, enjoyed company, appreciated resources, but never essential. Fundamentally Roman. Identity, legacy, ambitions, Roman. Cleopatra important, never vital. Antony different. Started seeing Eastern ruler, Alexander figure, God-king Eastern style over Roman consul. Cleopatra fostered vision. Encouraged think beyond Rome boundaries. Presented empire, Libya, Mesopotamia, Alexandria capital, Greek culture, Egyptian wealth, Roman military merge unprecedented. Healthy Antony? No. Good Roman politics position? No. Served Cleopatra? Fully. But think Cleopatra believed vision. Seen Roman Republic self-destruct. Watched Caesar fix fail. Seen corruption, endless wars, system inability govern vast empire. Maybe different needed. Eastern. Rulers divine, power centralized, capable queen popular general bring stability. Idealistic. Naive. Ignored Rome East cultural divide. But innovative. Cleopatra Antony creating new, not grab existing power. Problem Octavian. While Antony Cleopatra dreamed Eastern empires, Octavian methodically built case Rome. Every Cleopatra gift, honor, Eastern custom adopted. Octavian propagandists turned evidence Antony betrayed Rome, seduced corrupted foreign witch queen, no longer truly Roman. Octavian genius, never direct Antony attack. Attacked Cleopatra. Said Antony victim, bewitched evil woman destroying Rome. Let liking Antony, many did, believe real Antony good, corrupted foreign. Permission turn while respecting past. Cleopatra, Octavian propaganda, story villain. Femme fatale, seductress destroying good Romans, foreign queen ruling Rome from Alexandria. None true, but effective. Narrative holds, truth irrelevant. By 34 before Christ, Antony Cleopatra new time running. Octavian West consolidating. Triumvirate dead name. Lepidus retired forced. Now Antony versus Octavian. War eventual. Question when? So did bold, theatrical, either secure or doom. Staged massive Alexandria ceremony shocking Rome. Antony give Roman territories Cleopatra children. Proclaim Caesarian Caesar true heir. Present as Eastern Mediterranean king-queen. Called Donations of Alexandria. Moment war inevitable. Ceremony meant show strength, triggered destruction. Cleopatra beside Antony, theatrical triumph, unaware beginning end. Have you decided, felt absolutely right moment, later realized sealed fate? That's Donations of Alexandria. Ceremony grand, theatrical, bold, felt triumph. Actually war declaration disguised celebration. Autumn 34 before Christ. Alexandria's great gymnasium. Space holding tens, thousands. City prepared weeks. Not ordinary royal event. Antony Cleopatra answer Octavian propaganda. Statement future looks. What statement? Picture. Center gymnasium. Raised silver platform visible all. 2 golden thrones. Not Roman chairs. Not Egyptian. Golden thrones Persian king style. Seats screaming empire, making Romans uneasy. One throne Mark Antony as Dionysus Osiris. Eastern royal garb, purple robes, golden crown, jewels catching sun. Looks Eastern potentate, not Roman consul. Point exactly. Other throne, same height. Note carefully, Cleopatra. As Isis Selene. Traditional Egyptian uraeus, cobra forehead. Draped gold, stones. Looks divine, powerful. Equal beside, not subordinate. Below, slightly smaller golden thrones, step lower, children. 13-year-old Caesarian, Julius Caesar's son. 6-year-old twins Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene. 2-year-old Ptolemy Philadelphus. Dressed royal costumes representing kingdoms. Armenian, Median, Parthian, Egyptian. Even toddler costumed. Family portrait empire. Thousands Alexandrians crowd gymnasium. Ambassadors dozens kingdoms present. Roman officials east there. Must. Antony technically commander. Eastern Mediterranean notables witness. Then Antony rises, proclaims. Every word nails coffin. First declares Cleopatra Queen of Kings. Not Egypt Queen, Kings. Title echoing ancient Persian emperors. Supremacy claim over rulers. Supreme East monarch. Then Caesarian, King of Kings. Provocative, explicitly states Caesarian Julius Caesar legitimate son. Forget Octavian, forget Caesar will. 13-year-old Caesar true heir. Caesarian, not Octavian, inherit Caesar position. Understand slap? Octavian legitimacy on adopted son, heir. Name, power, lead claim from Caesar will. Antony publicly said, will irrelevant. Biological heir, true inheritor legacy. But not done. Divides territories like risk Eastern Mediterranean. Alexander Helios, 6, gives Armenia, just conquered, plus Media, Parthia. Parthia unconquered yet, promising anyway. 6-year-old King of Kings East. Cleopatra Selene, twin, gives Cyrenaica, Libya. Queen Cyrenaica, Crete. Little Ptolemy Philadelphus, under 3, gives Syria, Phoenicia, Cilicia. Toddler Macedonian royal costume, Alexander Great style, emphasize ancient Macedonian imperialism. Cleopatra herself reaffirms territories given 3 years prior, plus more. Cyprus, Syria parts, Judea portions, modern Turkey coastal. Rome conquered territories, Roman soldiers died for, handed Egyptian queen, children like favors. Crowd wild, Alexandrians love. Course, queen world's most powerful. City positioned new empire capital. Egypt, declining centuries, suddenly near ancient glory. But Antony strategically doing, not theatrical excess, logic. Creating client kingdoms network, tied same family, loyal Cleopatra children. Building stable Eastern Empire governed efficiently, resist Parthian aggression, rival Rome power center. Antony vision, Roman world 2 capitals. Rome west whoever ruled, Alexandria east under him, Cleopatra. Not unlike later Roman split west-east halves. Antony doing 3 half-centuries early. Administratively not terrible. Mediterranean huge. Communication slow. Governing all Rome inefficient. Eastern capital, real authority could work. Byzantine proves centuries later. Problem, fatal. Giving power foreign queen. Children instead Roman governors, institutions. Bypassing Roman system, creating hereditary monarchy Eastern style. Romans overthrew last king 5 centuries ago, allergic monarchy. But think Antony Cleopatra believed workable. Thought building new, necessary. Republic dying, obvious. Civil wars proved broken. Maybe Rome needed evolution, not preservation. Kingdoms, dynasties over consuls, senates, not entirely wrong. Generation later, Augustus created monarchy. Smart, pretend not. Called first citizen wielding absolute. Antony Cleopatra, mistake not substance, optics. Too honest. Staged coronation when maintain republican fiction. Now, how donations news reached Rome. Octavian handled propaganda masterclass. First, no exaggerate, lie. Ceremony happened reported. Antony gave territories, proclaimed Caesarian heir. Sat golden throne beside Cleopatra, Eastern king. Describe accurately, Romans horrified. Second, framed perfectly. Not Antony betrayed, Egyptian woman bewitched Antony using destroy Rome. Difference? Version, Antony victim, enemy Cleopatra. Let Romans respecting Antony feel sympathy, not anger. Octavian propaganda hits themes. Break down, exploit Roman fears, prejudices brilliant. Theme 1, Foreign corruption. Cleopatra, Eastern seductress corrupting good Roman luxury, excess, foreign values. Plays Roman anxiety moral superiority over decadent East. Theme 2, Feminine manipulation. Roman culture, women no political power. Cleopatra influence over Antony confirmed worst fears women politics mean chaos. Proof women power chaos. Theme 3, Religious sacrilege. Cleopatra goddess, Romans disturbed. Gods yes, but living divine? Eastern weirdness, un-Roman, dangerous. Theme 4, Roman wealth theft. Territories Antony gave, Roman soldiers conquered, citizens died. Now foreign children playthings. touched Roman justice, honor. Theme 5. Illegitimate succession. Caesarion positioned Caesar heir, displacing Octavian. Personal Octavian, but raised questions. Declared different heir post-will? Where rule law? Respect Roman traditions? By 33 before Christ, Octavian campaign full. Poets wrote verses Eastern threat. Politicians speeches defending values. Cultivated image Rome protector, tradition guardian, last defense foreign domination. Genius, got Antony will, or forged. Debate. Claimed Antony official will, read Senate. Per will, Antony buried Alexandria, not Rome. Body beside Cleopatra death. Imagine play? Roman consul not want body Roman soil, prefer foreign land mistress. Romans appalled. Even Antony sympathetic started turn. Really will? Maybe Antony attached Alexandria, enamored Eastern. Or Octavian invented, knowing Antony couldn't deny Egypt. True or not, devastating. By 32 before Christ, Senate enough. Formal, voted strip Antony powers, titles. No longer consul, triumvir. Private citizen commanding Eastern legions. Clever. Senate no war Antony. War Cleopatra. Officially Egypt war, foreign queen threatening Roman interests. Antony dupe, victim. If senses abandon, forgiven. Brilliant. Gave Antony out, save betraying Cleopatra. Made war defensive, just. Rome not attacking Romans, defending foreign aggression. Cleopatra, never invaded Roman, allied decades, suddenly aggressor. About 40% Senate, nearly half, said garbage. Left Rome join Antony. Almost half recognized real civil war Antony Octavian. Cleopatra scapegoat, political maneuvering. Senators, both year consuls, traveled east join Antony. Substantial official backing. Antony not rogue. Legitimacy. But didn't matter. Octavian seized narrative. Propaganda war, as important military, Octavian winning decisively. Italy, western provinces, story evil Egyptian queen threatens Rome. Loyal Octavian defends. By summer 32 before Christ, both mobilizing war. Antony Cleopatra gathered Greece, maybe 500 ships, 70,000 soldiers. Antony loyal Roman legions, Egypt allies troops. Controlled vast wealth, Egypt treasury, Eastern resources. Octavian assembled 400 ships, 80,000 soldiers Italy. Less wealth, but more Rome. Legitimacy. Senate backing, or 60% stayed Rome. Stage set final clash. Former allies enemies. Two Rome future visions. Two leaders once shared power now destroy each. Between holding kingdom, protecting children, navigating catastrophe, Cleopatra. Still brilliant, strategic, options dwindling. Because war, careful plans, clever strategies down few hours chaos, violence, anything happen. What about happened small promontory western Greece coast, Actium, determined not just Rome ruler, but Egypt independent or Roman province. All Cleopatra fought, built, sacrificed down one naval battle September 2nd, 31 before Christ. Battle prove even smartest, capable leader can't always outsmart fate. War, when arrives, never expected. Planning, strategy, predictions evaporate fighting starts. At Actium, All could wrong Antony Cleopatra did. But historians 2,000 years question, lost battle or lost purpose. Take spring 31 before Christ. Antony Cleopatra moved combined forces Greece, positioned Actium, promontory western coast guarding Ambracian Gulf entrance. Naturally defensible. Camped army, fleet, waiting Octavian move. Situation: Antony about 500 warships. Not any, massive quinquiremes, larger. Some 10 ore banks. Floating fortresses, heavily armored, archer towers, catapults, flaming projectiles. Each mobile castle. Built power, ramming, boarding marines hand to hand. Antony also about 70,000 soldiers Gulf camped. 19 Roman infantry legions plus allies auxiliaries. Paper, formidable. But problem: several, worsening daily. Problem 1, supplies. Huge army feeding needs constant grain, water, provision shipments. Supposed Egypt via sea route western Greece coast. But Octavian's admiral Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa, perhaps generation's best naval, systematically cut route. Agrippa arrived early spring fleet, brilliant. Instead direct attack, captured strategic ports, island supply line. Methone, key depot, fell first. Lucas, Patrae, Corinth. Each capture fewer supplies Antony. Slow strangulation, no dramatic battle. Problem 2, disease. Pack 70,000 close quarters, limited fresh water, insufficient food, diseases spread. Sources report Antony army dysentery, malaria, illnesses. Men dying infection, fever, dehydration, not combat. Army wasting. Problem 3, desertion. Conditions worsen, food short, disease spread, soldiers slip. Some vanish Greek countryside, others defect Octavian. Not cowards, experienced Roman legionaries seeing wind direction. Professionals abandoning bad sign. Problem 4, morale. Antony officers argued strategy. Some abandoned ships, march inland, fight. Octavian land Roman heavy infantry strong. Others stay, wait. Octavian attack fortified. Others break sea, sail Egypt, regroup. No agreement. Antony, better following than giving, couldn't decide. Problem 5, elephant. Cleopatra. Presence fleet controversial Antony, Roman officers. Supposed Roman civil war. Official. Fighting defend legitimate claim against Octavian illegal seizure. But Egyptian queen owned ships. Squadron looked Octavian claim. Foreign intervention Roman affairs. Some Antony Roman officers begged send Cleopatra Egypt. Argued presence harming legitimacy, Roman soldiers uncomfortable, Egyptians, political liability. Sources, biased Roman winners, claim officer Dellius Ahenobarbus disgusted, defected Octavian, died illness shortly. But Antony refused. Why? Several. First, 60-ship squadron, significant naval force. Losing weakened substantially. Second, Cleopatra funding war. Egypt treasury paying supplies, equipment, wages. Without financial, army disintegrate. Third, perhaps key, Antony loved, depended emotionally both. Years together, not abandoned because Roman officers uncomfortable. So Cleopatra stayed. Tensions Antony camp rose. Meanwhile, Octavian arrived, camped 5 miles north Antony position. Roughly 400 ships, fewer, but crucial difference design. Octavian fleet mainly Liburnians, smaller, lighter, maneuverable. Originally coastal patrol, anti-piracy. Couldn't match Antony big, direct ram, but faster. Quick turn. Swarm larger, multiple directions. Like battleships, destroyers, tanks, light cavalry. Different tools, tactics. And Agrippa, tactical innovator, master. Equipped harpax, long pole grappling hook, catapult shot, pierce hull, winch tight, pull boarding. Turned naval land-like, Roman infantry strength. By late August 31 before Christ, Antony desperate. Army sick, starving, shrinking. Couldn't stay, men die, disease, starvation. Couldn't inland march, Octavian blocked, abandoning fleet, abandoned Cleopatra, ships. Only break sea. But battle plan or escape? Historical debate. Some argue Antony planned break blockade, sail Egypt regroup. Others intended real battle, fled wrong. Sources disagree, modern scholars argue. No certain, Antony ordered ships keep sails aboard. Crucial, ancient naval usually left sails shore battle, got way combat. Fought oars, close maneuver, ram, board. Sails long distance. Sails aboard suggests planning sail post-battle or instead. Also ordered war chests, treasury, troop pay loaded Cleopatra fastest ships. Planning fight death, not load money rear boats. Planning escape if bad, yes. September 2nd, 31 before Christ. Dawn Ionian Sea. Antony fleet rose straits Ambracian Gulf open ocean, Octavian waiting. Narrow passage, Antony ship's column not battle line. Tactically bad, geography unavoidable. Fleet's face. Sources say morning just watching, waiting. Naval partly psychological. One enemy commit first, reveal strategy. Both rode hold position, watch, wait. Around noon, sources specific, wind up, northerly behind Octavian south. Good Antony escape, breakthrough, wind carry South Egypt. But meant Octavian ships easier close, then fighting started. Sources describe confusing, chaotic. Antony extend line outflank, Agrippa matched. Ships closed, ram, board, arrows, javelins, catapults, projectiles, harpax dragging together. Brutal close quarters, land battle floating than traditional naval. Hours raged, neither decisive. Antony big powerful slow, Octavian light fast vulnerable ram. Ships fired, ancient naval often flaming throws. Men drowned sinking, Ionian chaos, smoke, blood, splinter wood. Then mid-afternoon, Cleopatra squadron raised sails. 60 Egyptian behind main line suddenly deployed, caught wind, headed south. Away battle, Egypt. Mark Antony seeing, abandoned command ship, transferred faster, followed, taking 40 more. Broke confused melee, sailed after, leaving rest fleet fighting. 2,000 years, still argue happened. Cleopatra panic flee, force Antony follow? Execute planned withdrawal, Antony join? Strategic retreat wrong or cowardice both? Look theories, single moment, flee, withdraw, phrase, destroyed all. Moment doomed Cleopatra Antony. Matters. Theory 1. Panic betrayal. Traditional Octavian propaganda, later Roman historians, simple. Cleopatra scared, fled. Antony besotted lost sense, abandoned duty chase lover. Version. Remaining fleet watch disbelief commander abandon woman. Story dangers foreign seduction, duty passion, great man low weakness. Convenient Octavian propaganda. Theory 2. Pre-planned escape. Modern some argue never decisive battle. Break blockade, escape Egypt much fleet possible. War chests loaded, sails aboard. Cleopatra saw opening, took, Antony follow. Problem: Antony couldn't disengage clean, most fleet no withdraw signal, kept fighting commander left. Theory 3. Failed strategy. Plan Cleopatra squadron break, head Egypt, draw Octavian fleet pursuit, Antony stay fight better odds. But moment, Antony couldn't let alone, not trust safe, fear lose Egypt resources, love couldn't bear separation. Improvised, followed supposed stay. Theory 4. Practical retreat. Realized mid-battle losing, Agrippa tactics working. Big ship swarmed, disabled. Stay meant capture death. Cleopatra command save savable. Preserve treasury, some ships. War continue Egypt possibility. Antony agreed, followed. Not cowardice, cutting losses. Never know correct. Maybe all elements true, no result. Antony remaining fleet, abandoned, fought while, realized hopeless. Sunset, most surrendered Octavian. Some captured, destroyed. Men choice, join Octavian or die. Most joined. Antony land army Gulf camped, waited 7 days return. Didn't, realized sailed Egypt, surrendered Octavian. 19 legions, thousands experienced, simply switched. Not cowards, commander abandoned. What else? Just like that, afternoon, Antony Cleopatra lost all. Army, fleet, Greece position, credibility, legitimacy, gone. Sailed Egypt maybe 100 ships 500 started. Lost war before truly fought. Now, nothing between Octavian vengeance except distance, time, face terrible reality. Defeat inevitable. Octavian come. Finish. Question when, how. Face end dignity or chains. Displayed Roman triumph Octavian prizes. Defeat reveals people true. Winning, easy strong, confident, control. Lose all, plans collapse, allies abandon, future shrinks empire survival, discover made. Winter 3130 before Christ, Antony Cleopatra back Alexandria post Actium, discovered different themselves. Sources. Voyage back, Antony sat alone ship bow, silent days, staring sea, refusing talk Cleopatra, eat properly, absorbed devastation. Man Caesar right hand, commanded vast armies, worshipped soldiers, just abandoned mid-battle. Shame crushing. Cleopatra reportedly kept composure. Had to. Still Egypt queen. Kingdom protect, children safeguard, future salvage, if possible. Couldn't fall apart. Not yet. Arrived Alexandria. Sources. Cleopatra ships victory garlands, wreaths, sailed harbor, triumph music. Ordered celebrations. Pretended won. Why? Word defeat out, Egypt chaos, rebellions, enemies seize power, lied. Greatest performance pretending Actium victory, all fine, queen control. Probably exhausting act, privately knew truth, knew Octavian coming, knew consequences, but needed time, plan, negotiate, see save children, kingdom, Antony spiraling. Sources, built small dwelling pier Alexandria harbor, called Timonium after Timon Athens, legendary misanthrope rejecting society. Antony breakdown, isolating, drowning depression, self-loathing. Psychological, life soldier, leader. Identity courage, men loyalty, success. Actium violated self-beliefs. Abandoned army. Fled battle. Put personal, Cleopatra attachment above duty. However interpret, Antony saw ultimate betrayal supposed be. Cleopatra eventually coaxed isolation. Back palace, re-engaged reality. But Antony never same post-Actium. Sources: heavy drinking, manic depression swings, unable focus, coherent plans. Meanwhile, Cleopatra tried save. Sent Octavian embassies offers. Vast money Egypt treasury. Abdicate favor children. Sent royal crown, throne submission gesture. Basically, name price. What want? What leave Egypt independent? Octavian response telling. Ignored Antony messages. Wouldn't acknowledge worth negotiating, ultimate insult. But Cleopatra's vague non-committal reassurances. Kept hoping, thinking maybe negotiate out. Why? Octavian wanted alive. For triumph. Roman tradition. General great victory, triumph parade displaying enemies, treasures. Ultimate, defeated leader chains. Octavian planned months, Cleopatra centerpiece. Exotic Eastern queen paraded Rome, crowds jeer. Culmination propaganda, proof saved Rome foreign. So messages suggesting maybe work out, maybe keep throne Roman supervision, maybe children kingdoms. Lies. Kept from suicide. Kept alive capture. Question: Cleopatra realized manipulated? Brilliant. Roman politics experienced, not easily fooled. Probably understood reassurances mostly hollow. But what else? Options: negotiate, fight, die. Fighting impossible. No army. Dying always, but exhaust others first, especially children. Negotiated, knowing probably futile, because what else? Winter spring, Italy, Octavian methodically settled, paid soldiers, confiscated land, consolidated. No hurry. Antony Cleopatra nowhere. Egypt isolated, contained. Own pace. By July 30th before Christ, Octavian ready. But interesting, didn't sail direct Alexandria. Marched overland Asia Minor, down Syria, Judea. Why? Demonstrate control, eastern territories Antony gave Cleopatra. Wanted regions watch army pass, understand Rome charge. Cleopatra brief Ptolemaic restoration over. Psychological warfare worked. As Octavian army neared Egypt, kings, governors, Antony allies switched. Herod Great Judea, friendly Cleopatra, though disliked personally, pledged Octavian loyalty. Nabatea king same. All saw wind. Octavian route captured Pelusium, same eastern fortress Cleopatra camped brother civil war years ago. Suspicious, Pelusium surrendered, no fight. Opened gates. Some sources suggest Cleopatra secretly arranged, negotiating Octavian, showing help conquest smooth if spare her, children. Others say garrison betrayed. Don't know. But Octavian secure Egypt base. Antony, hearing Pelusium taken, roused depression. Gathered remaining forces, few thousand soldiers, loyal guards, not army. Defeat Octavian legions, marched last stand. And briefly won. July 31st, 30th before Christ, skirmish outside Alexandria, Antony cavalry defeated Octavian detachment. Tiny, meaningless grand scheme. But sources, Antony overjoyed. Rode back Alexandria conquering hero, straight Cleopatra, armor dust-covered, kissed. Moment, old Antony, victorious general, warrior, action man. Didn't last. Next day, August 1st, Antony led forces again, hoping build. Entire remaining fleet, cavalry defected Octavian. Sailed, rode over, no fight. switched. Imagine Antony watching. Men commanded, followed years, oaths, loyalty, just left. Not hate probably, just lost, knew, no point dying doomed. Antony rode back Alexandria, lost it. Sources, shouting Cleopatra betrayed, arranged defections, secretly negotiating Octavian all along. Truth? Maybe. Cleopatra sending Octavian messages. Actually betraying Antony or savable? Don't know. But Antony paranoid, devastated, convinced loved woman sold out. Cleopatra, fearing rage, fled tomb. Important, Cleopatra building mausoleum. Egyptian royalty prepared tombs advance. Fortress-like, thick walls, heavy door lock inside. Retreated with 2 serving women, locked in. Then, intentional or panic, messenger told Antony Cleopatra dead, killed self-tomb. Antony heard, no question. Accepted true. Sources record words. Something, why delay? Fate taken only remaining life reason. Ordered servant Eros kill. Honorable Roman, loyal servant quick death over enemy hands. Eros drew sword, but instead striking Antony, killed self. Even servant wouldn't, so Antony self. Took sword, stabbed stomach. Agonizing die. Not quick, clean. Didn't immediate. Fell bleeding, calling finish, but nobody. All left. Then another messenger, Cleopatra alive. In tomb, wanted see. Servants carried dying, bleeding agony streets to tomb. But doors locked, Cleopatra wouldn't open, fearing Octavian soldiers near, force in. Had haul Antony outside using ropes, pulleys, lifting window-high wall. Picture scene. Once great Mark Antony, Caesar right hand, Rome powerful, hauled building side like cargo, bleeding while loved woman watched above, unable help. Almost too tragic real, but multiple sources describe. Got inside. Cleopatra held dying. Sources, covered blood, crying, calling Lord husband, couldn't live without. True feelings or performing grief? Don't know. Maybe both. Loved even calculating survive. People complicated. Relations complicated, especially monarchs. All personal, political. Antony died Cleopatra arms, probably afternoon, August 1st, 30 before Christ. 53. 1. Rome celebrated generals. 2. Triumvirates, member, Eastern half-ruler. Died defeat, lost all. Tomb foreign city, abandoned soldiers, allies. Only Cleopatra, servants, witnesses. Now Cleopatra alone. Antony gone. Locked tomb, no army, allies, leverage. Octavian forces surrounding city. End approaching fast. But Cleopatra not dead. One final performance. Because when Octavian soldiers reached tomb, forced in, captured, one last choice story end. Let Octavian parade chains Rome. Or deny victory. Lose war but win last battle. Choice. Final decision determine, not just die, history remember. After Antony died, Cleopatra had about 10 days live. 10 days negotiate, strategize, try save wreckage. 10 days decide story end. Every day chess with Octavian. Game both knew Cleopatra lost, but she control ending play. Talk immediately post Antony death. Psychologically fascinating. Cleopatra locked tomb. Antony body. 2 serving women. Iris Charmian. Names recorded. Essentially no options. Octavian soldiers surrounded. Couldn't escape. Fight. Wait. Then Octavian sent messenger Gaius Proculius negotiate. Sources: Proculius approached tomb, spoke Cleopatra locked door, assured Octavian merciful, surrender peacefully, no harm her, children cooperate. Cleopatra inside asked one, children inherit kingdom. Egypt remain independent under rule. This asking all along. Not save self, save Egypt's sovereignty, children future. Proculius said relay Octavian. Left, but set up. While Proculius distracted conversation door, other soldiers climbed building same window hauled Antony dying. Burst, surprised Cleopatra, captured before react. Sources: Plutarch specific. Cleopatra dagger hidden clothes, tried stab self soldiers burst, stopped, wrestled away, searched poison. Strict orders, Cleopatra alive. Octavian needed triumph. Think terrifying Cleopatra, just lost partner, locked tomb corpse, knows kingdom fallen, knows awaits, paraded Rome captive, displayed zoo animal crowds jeer. Ultimate humiliation, proud queen-styled goddess, now can't escape death. Octavian soldiers watching constantly, ensure alive purposes, moved tomb palace, guard. Technically move, but soldiers monitored eat, drink, speak, ensuring no poison. Then Octavian saw person. Meeting, sources described, history's fascinating encounters. Here's why. Both performing, both new performing, both knew other knew. Theater, deadly serious. Octavian 32, cold, calculating, propaganda brilliant, not charismatic person. Cleopatra 39, still sharp, strategic, exhausted, grieving, moves out. Sources: torn clothes, breast grief. Genuine or calculated vulnerability, don't know, probably both. Octavian entered, Cleopatra threw feet, begged mercy. Pleaded children, wept. Played defeated, desperate woman. Fascinating, one smartest, educated alive. Octavian smart, different. Cleopatra 9 languages. Octavian Greek struggled. Cleopatra negotiated Rome since 18. Octavian power handed Caesar will. Another context, intellectually demolish. But didn't, played weak, feminine, defeated. Why? Maybe if Octavian saw no threat, broken woman not rival, merciful children. Octavian fall? Not second. Saw doing, played along served purposes, vague reassurances, treated well, implied children futures, kept hoping. But here's Cleopatra mistake, or not, knew didn't care, tried last use legendary charm Roman leader. Sources suggest attempted seduce Octavian, or establish personal connection had Caesar, Antony. Didn't work, Octavian immune. Whether not attractive, disciplined manipulated, preferred men, sources hint, or focused objectives, don't know. But Cleopatra seduction supposedly worked too Rome powerful, failed third. Per Plutarch, post-meeting, Octavian advisor Cornelius Dolabella pitied Cleopatra, secretly warned. Octavian planning transport Rome 3 days. Triumph prepared, displayed captive. Dolabella genuine pity. Or Octavian arranged leak, hoping panic Cleopatra, sloppy preventable suicide guards stop, secure triumph. Don't know. Ancient politics deception layers. But information galvanized Cleopatra. Requested visit Antony tomb final respects. Octavian, thinking harmless or curious, agreed. So, August 12, 30 before Christ, date multiple sources, Cleopatra escorted guards tomb. Made offerings Antony spirit, poured libations, per Plutarch, said something. "Oh, dearest Antony, buried recently hands-free, now captive pour offerings guard, fearing beat disfigure captive body funeral tributes. These last libations, Cleopatra, essentially goodbye, acknowledging final act. Returned palace, bathed long luxurious, dressed royal robes, full Egyptian regalia, not casual. Golden uraeus forehead, jewelry. Dressing queen, not prisoner. Ordered lavish meal chambers. While eating, peasant arrived basket figs. Guards inspected. Just figs, normal, let through. Delivered Cleopatra chambers, left. What next? No direct witness. No guards found entered chambers short later, probably post-message Cleopatra sent Octavian. Cleopatra dead, lying golden couch, dressed full royal regalia, 2 serving women beside. Iris dead feet. Charmian dying, barely stand, straightening royal diadem Cleopatra head before collapse. Guard seeing shouted, "Charmian, this well done?" Charmian last breath. "Well done, fitting princess descended many royal kings," then died too. All 3 dead minutes. No blood, violence, struggle. Taken poison. But what? How smuggled past guards? Here's famous asp story. Legend. Figs basket contained venomous snake, Egyptian cobra, Egyptians called asp. Cobra royal symbol, pharaoh crown. Per legend, Cleopatra let bite, embracing death's sacred serpent. Symbolic final divine rule claim. Beautiful story, dramatic, painted, filmed, written 2,000 years. But true. Modern historians skeptical. Why? Cobra venom slow, agonizing, not peaceful minutes. Suffer convulsions, paralysis, respiratory failure, hours. Not dignified. Ancient sources disagree snake. Plutarch, some claim 2 faint puncture marks arm, skeptical. Others, no snake found room. So what killed? Modern medical. Mixture. Hemlock, wolfsbane, opium. Combination Cleopatra. Extensive chemistry, toxicology knowledge, new causes. Rapid cardiac arrest, minimal suffering. Lose consciousness quick. Heart stops, die peacefully. Matches description Cleopatra looked found. Composed, peaceful as asleep. Probably prepared advance. Maybe hidden jewelry. Poison hollow rings, bracelets. Maybe fig basket smuggled, not snake. Maybe servant concealed person. However, planned. Waited right moment. New Octavian ship Rome, executed. Denied triumph. Denied spectacle parading Egypt Queen Rome streets. Denied propaganda victory planned. Final act, Cleopatra won. Not war, last battle. Died queen, not captive. Own terms, time, manner befitting status. Message sent. Octavian arrived, post guards found body. Requested buried beside Antony. Octavian, respecting wish or not caring ruined triumph, allowed. Cleopatra, Antony buried together Alexandria. Tomb location lost. Probably earthquakes, modern construction. Archaeology mystery. But Octavian not finished. Cleopatra children. Represented dangerous, legitimate Egypt claims, Caesar legacy, future rebellions. Eliminate threats. Caesarion, 17, Julius Caesar's son, Cleopatra eldest, most dangerous. Octavian advisor Arius Didymus reportedly, too many Caesars not good. Homer reference, meaning clear. Kill boy, did. Caesarion executed Octavian order. Sources, sent away pre-Cleopatra death, supposedly India safety, lured false promises, murder. Last Egypt pharaoh, Caesar only son, killed 17 secure Octavian. But Cleopatra other 3, Antony's, Octavian spared. Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene. Ptolemy Philadelphus taken Rome, raised Octavian's sister Octavia. Yes, that Octavia, Antony abandoned wife, raised former rival children own. History no record kindness, calculation both. What happened children? Boys vanish history, probably died young, illness. But daughter Cleopatra Selene survived, married Juba II, Mauritania king, became powerful queen, named son Ptolemy after father, Egyptian heritage. Cleopatra bloodline continued, though not Egypt throne. Egypt became Roman province. 300 years Ptolemaic, 3000 pharaonic civilization ended. Now possession Rome Empire, governed Roman prefect. Wealth flowing Rome, not enriching own. With Egypt fall, Hellenistic age, Greek cultural dominance Eastern Mediterranean began. Alexander Great, officially ended. Future Rome, Latin not Greek, Western imperial not Eastern kingdoms. All Cleopatra preserved gone. But complete failure? Or achieve lasting despite loss? Woman died diadem head. Poison veins leave legacy transcending defeat, because 2,000 years still talking, still remember name, still study strategies, debate choices, marvel intelligence. Kind immortality victory? What Cleopatra story teach power, gender, intelligence, history remembers defeated. Here's strangest Cleopatra story. Lost everything. Kingdom fell. Partner died. Children scattered, killed. Egypt Roman province. Every measure failed. Yet 2,000 years, everyone knows name. How many name Octavian wife? Remember opposing Roman senators. No Octavian became Augustus, first Roman emperor. Most don't, but all know Cleopatra. So what? How defeated queen died 39 more famous conqueror. How history propaganda war loser somehow win long. Answer profound power, memory, legends made. Start post-death. Octavian propaganda overdrive. Celebrated triple triumph Rome 29 before Christ. 3 parades, 3 days. Third, specifically Egypt conquest. Couldn't parade actual Cleopatra, so next, enormous effigy carried streets. Statue painting asp-biting arm. Augustus paid poets, Octavian now, wrote verses portraying Cleopatra drunken, depraved, power-mad seductress, nearly destroyed Rome, wicked feminine ways. Poet Horace called fatal monster, woman nearly toppled republic. Historian Dio Cassius, centuries later Augustan sources, described corrupted luxury, pleasure-addicted, sexuality weapon honorable Roman men. Propaganda worked generations. Centuries Cleopatra, cautionary dangers foreign women, unchecked female ambition. Medieval Christians added, symbol, lust, sin. Renaissance writers fascinated, still portrayed defined men relations. Caesar mistress, Antony lover. Woman destroyed great men seduction. But propaganda couldn't fully obscure intelligence. Even hostile Roman sources acknowledge brilliant. Plutarch, century after, admitted not beauty captivated Caesar, Antony. Conversation, charm, intelligence. Wrote languages, education, wit. Couldn't help reveal extraordinary, even condemning. Over time, legend evolved. Renaissance, artists, writers saw a tragic heroine, loved deeply, lost all. Chose death, dishonor. Shakespeare, Antony Cleopatra, 1607, portrays complex, intelligent, genuinely love Antony, sympathy, admiration, worthy. Then, 19th, 20th centuries, Cleopatra, female power icon. Reimagined feminist, woman ruled own right, refused male authority submit, used every tool maintain independence. Elizabeth Taylor, 1963 film made glamorous, powerful, star. Suddenly not cautionary, aspirational. 21st century, historians examined sources seriously, separated propaganda, fact, discovered real Cleopatra. Scholar, polyglot, 9 languages, administrator ran complex kingdom effectively nearly 20 years. Strategist kept Egypt independent longer possible. Mother fought secure children futures. Leader made rational, calculated decisions available options. Modern scholarship revealed traditional seductress narrative Roman propaganda. Cleopatra, not exceptionally beautiful, sources admit. Didn't seduce power, negotiated, leveraged Egypt resources, understood Roman politics better most Romans. Relations Caesar, Antony, not sexuality. Political, strategic alliances, genuine, emotional too. Think, ruled Egypt 18 to 39, 21 years. Through civil war, multiple famines, Roman civil wars, invasions, betrayals. Maintained independence, every other Eastern kingdom absorbed Rome. Restored territory. Created functioning government. Managed complex trade. Maintained religious, cultural institutions. Did while woman world believed women shouldn't rule. While Egyptian-era Rome superior all Eastern. While relentless propaganda, military pressure target. Not resume succeeded sexuality. One history most capable leaders, period. Now lessons Cleopatra's story still relevant. First, intelligence, education, power. Greatest weapon not appearance, mind. Negotiate any language. Understood economics, military, diplomacy, science. Studied library Alexandria available. Education made formidable ways physical beauty never. World reduced sexuality, insisted valued intellect. Second, adaptability matters more strength. No Rome military, Egypt couldn't defeat direct. Didn't try, adapted. Allied powerful Romans. Provided needed resources, positioned indispensable. Survived 2 decades not force, flexibility, strategic thinking. Sometimes powerful move knowing bend. Third, representation matters. Rome painted foreign threat woman Egyptian. Doubly other worldview. Propaganda worked, partly Roman culture believed women no rule, Eastern inferior. Prejudice, propaganda reinforce. See pattern history, recognize own time. Fourth, how lose matters much whether. Lost war, won important. Controlled ending. Denied Octavian triumph. Died queen, not captive. Chose dignity, survival. Whether agree choice, commanded respect, even enemies admire. Sometimes face defeat matters more victory. Fifth, history written victors remembered everyone. Octavian I wrote immediate history. Propaganda shaped Romans saw Cleopatra generations. But long run, truth emerges. People see through eventually. Real story, intelligence, accomplishments, complexity, survived lies. Today, remember, admire, study. Barely remember propaganda. Truth outlasts lies, even centuries. Sixth, can't reduce complex people simple narratives. Brilliant ruler? Yes. Devoted mother? Evidence, yes. Strategic, calculating relations? Absolutely. Genuinely love Antony? Probably. Mistakes? Course. Ruthless sometimes? Certainly. Ruthless times. Humans complicated. Contain multitudes. Moment reduce single. Seductress, victim, villain, hero. Stop seeing clearly. So, Cleopatra ultimate legacy? Proved intelligence, education, strategic, extend power beyond raw strength. Demonstrated women rule effectively despite exclusion systems. Showed dying dignity, powerful living humiliation. Became enduring symbol transcending Roman propaganda, patriarchal narratives, cultural prejudice. Remembered not beautiful. Probably wasn't particularly. Not seduced powerful. Roman propaganda. Remembered extraordinary. Spoke 9 languages, world most rulers won. Studied math, medicine, women not educated. Kept history, wealthiest, independent Rome conquered else. Negotiated age most powerful, often got wanted. Faced death, courage, dignity. Most importantly, story stripped propaganda, historical rigor examined, more impressive legend. Real Cleopatra, more interesting Hollywood. Scholar queen, discuss philosophy, Greek, negotiate trade, Arabic, command troops, manage complex economy, conduct scientific experiments, hold own intellectually age most powerful men. More captivating seduction story. End. Cleopatra greatest achievement may be this. Made unforgettable, not conquest, empire, force, personality, intellect, breadth, choices, drama. Lost war, won immortality. How many conquerors say same? How many own-time winners forgotten today? History full forgotten victors. But remember Cleopatra. 2,000 years, still talking, debating choices, trying understand. Inspired intelligence, awed courage, wrestling questions power, gender, prejudice. Remember complex historical figures. That's legacy. Impact. Winning game actually matters. Next time someone says, Cleopatra just seductress, relied looks, tell truth. One ancient world most educated, ruled effectively over 2 decades, spoke 9 languages, wrote books, medicine, chemistry, kept history wealthiest kingdoms independent. Rome conquered everyone else. Negotiated most powerful men age often got wanted. Faced death. Courage, dignity. Remembered, studied, admired 2 millennia later. Not bad, someone supposedly only beauty going. Thank much. Joining journey Cleopatra. Extraordinary life. From baby-born Alexandria 69 before Christ. Learning languages, library, surviving betrayal, civil war. Meeting Caesar, most dramatic entrance history. Bearing son, negotiating Mark Antony, trying save kingdom, facing defeat Actium, finally choosing death, dishonor. Traveled entire life, shaped ancient world, hope story given new perspective. Won history most misunderstood figures. Hope see past Hollywood myths, Roman propaganda, real woman underneath. Brilliant, complex, flawed, strategic, devoted, ruthless, necessary, ultimately unforgettable. If enjoyed journey, please comments what surprised most Cleopatra real story. What lessons her life resonate? What other historical figures explore together? Read every comment. Suggestions shape future stories. Until next time, rest well. Dream ancient Alexandria. Queens, empires, intelligence, overcoming impossible odds, legacies outlast propaganda, past many more stories tell. Can't wait share next you. Good night.